Lisa Pierce reporting from Pack Expo 2020, Pack Expo International 2024. Last day of the show. It's Wednesday. The show's not quite done, but we're ready to do our report. So we thought get it done now while we're still a little fresh and not totally exhausted. It was a great show. I only saw a fraction of what I was hoping to see, but I am very impressed with what I did see. Before sharing today's news from the show floor here, I do have to acknowledge the impact of the results of our presidential election. Many people who work in sustainability and care about sustainability were disappointed and worried about the continued progress, or maybe lack of continued progress, in the U.S. on what they see are both critical and urgent issues, because President Trump won the election. Briefly, I'll tell you what I told them. Yes, federal policy matters, but there is still a lot of control at the state level to advance initiatives that are already in place, and, quite frankly, bring new initiatives as well. And that brings me quite nicely to the news that I wanted to share from what I saw and heard this morning. I sat in on a session at the Sustainability Central Stage on extended producer responsibility. Specifically, the session was, what is a PRO, P-R-O. And in this instance, PRO, or P-R-O, because we haven't quite decided how we're going to refer to it, means Producer Responsibility Organization, which is the group that is going to help create and manage a state's EPR program here in the United States. Olivia Barker spoke. She's the Vice President of Policy and Public Affairs at Circular Action Alliance, also known as by the initials CAA. So far, CAA is the only PRO in the United States. The session was expertly moderated by Kyla Fisher, Program Director at Ameripen. Olivia explained who CAA is, what is meant by producer, so who is the producer. She explained how the fees will likely be set, how brands, aka producers, so there's a little bit of a spoiler there, can prepare for the upcoming data reporting and fees. And then she talked about next steps for compliance. She also shared some helpful guidelines and resources. All of this information that was presented is key, of course, to understanding EPR in America. But to me, the best part was the Q&A after the formal presentation, because we were really able to see, and that was the questions from the audience, because we were really able to see how the industry is reacting. So I'm just going to read a couple of the questions that were asked at the end of this session, along with Olivia's answers that I'm shortening just to give you the gist of the question and the answer. This is not verbatim. And I'm going to start with who at a company is going to be responsible for this, being the EPR compliance and reporting. Is it the packaging department? And Olivia says that companies can decide. It could be the packaging department. It could be the folks in compliance. A lot of larger companies now have full sustainability departments, so it could be that. Various roles could do it. Second question, does this also apply to private label retailers? Easy answer, yes. They are obligated to register as a brand owner. Are there any third question, are there any exemptions? Yes, there will be, but it'll be different for primary packaging versus secondary packaging versus tertiary packaging. Fourth question, would one of those exemptions quite possibly be, or can you get credit if you're a company that has a closed loop private program for end of life on your packaging? And this one wasn't the easiest thing to answer because, of course, everything is in flux. But Olivia said that this is where the eco-modulation concept will come into play. And more on that, not in this video, but coverage as we continue to cover EPR at Packaging Digest. A fifth question, what products are this for? And it's any products that are sold or supplied into the state. How detailed? Now there's talk again about the collaboration, industry collaboration, that a lot of the information that the brand owners are going to need for this program, they're going to have to get from their suppliers. And so the question was, how detailed of this information do the suppliers need to get to deliver the information to their customers? And it was, Olivia's answer was very detailed, down to the single component level. So one of the example was, I'm supplying a aerosol container, and in the valve, the spray valve, there are multiple plastics. Do I have to start tracking every single component? And the answer to that, yes, you do. Kyla spoke up here, and it was a good point. She said, what you also need to do is, after, this is a living program. So anytime that there is an improvement in packaging, you really do need to track from a material reduction point of view, because a lot of the EPR laws also have goals for reduction as well. And again, you have to track all that at the component level. Someone else, seventh question, asked about flexible films and recyclability. And what was interesting about this was how Olivia said that EPR programs will maybe help move along some of the innovation in areas that have struggled a bit and need help. And this could possibly be one area where an EPR program will incentivize companies and industry as a whole to invest in various pathways for materials that definitely still are needed in the industry, rather than trying to either ban them or replace them. And flexible packaging is definitely one of them. So still a lot of collaboration between the brands, the pro, and again, Kyla spoke up and said, and also with trade associations and how they can all help to find new solutions. And then the last question that I wanted to mention was a gentleman. I had actually written down the question and was going to ask it myself, but I'm so glad that he did it. And it was just the question of, is there any conflict of interest that a pro is being supported by the brands, and how all of that is going to work? And Olivia, it was a very detailed answer, which was great. But the bottom line is there are going to be, quote, a lot of eyes on this, unquote, from Olivia. So as these EPR programs solidify, take heart that there is going to be adequate oversight and the enforcement. And I'll turn things over to our other contributor here today for our on-site report.
John Henry, the Changeover Wizard at changeover.com, contributing writer for Packaging Digest. Last day of the show, thank goodness. My feet are just barely going to make another hour or so, and then they're kaput. A couple of interesting things I saw today. I saw a million interesting things over the show, but two things I wanted to talk about today are a new weighing system from Bader Inc. out of Kansas City, and it performs a similar function to a combining scale, might even be called a type of combining scale. It's a series of buckets on a horizontal racetrack chain, which are loaded with a product, say a chicken breast, pass over a weigh cell, and then pass around to the backside of the conveyor where they can be deposited by weight or by weight class in a series of buckets so that you could combine a 5.1 ounce chicken breast with a 4.9 ounce chicken breast and get exactly 10 ounces of chicken breast in the bag. So, like I said, similar to what a combining scale does, is just a very interesting concept, very interesting way they did it with buckets on a racetrack. I think there might be a lot of applications for this, especially if you're packaging in things like boxes or in bulk. The other thing I wanted to mention, a little bit out of my normal area, but I was walking through the pallets section, and I ran across Green Current Solutions. And this is a fellow lives on a barge, travels up and down the Mississippi River, collects garbage, basically recyclable materials that have been gathered by volunteers and brought to centers in each town along the river. So he collects them on his barge and then carries them to a plant that he built where he turns them into plastic pallets. And it's a great concept because it takes the packaging that gets thrown away, recycles it back into the packaging ecosphere, and just seemed like a really neat solution. It's a nonprofit organization, so if you need plastic pallets, look into them. And another great show. I'm ready to go somewhere and put my feet up for about 3.5 days.
So we're wrapping up things here at Pack Expo International 2024. I just want to remind you, this is a portion of what we've seen as what we've shared in these videos these last 4 days. So please keep reading Packaging Digest for more news and insights. And thanks again for watching. We really do appreciate your interest.